In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace the power steering return line end fitting, which is basically what the hose goes onto on your steering box on this Chevy Silverado 2500. Let's install this brand new TRQ part. Take a 15mm socket and remove the 4 15mm bolts that hold this splash shield on to get it off here. Hold on to it. Take the last one off. Let's also remove this skid plate, same 15mm bolts. With the shields down, if you look up, you'll see the steering box, and right there is the line that we're after. Grab some pliers, try to squeeze this clamp so we can get the hose off. Regular pliers are proving to be a little bit difficult, and since I have this tool, I'm going to use it. It's a hose clamp plier. What it does is it grabs onto that hose clamp and locks it open until you are ready to remove it. Okay, I'm gonna get a collection bucket because as soon as we pop that hose off, power steering fluid will start to leak out. The reason I didn't bother draining the reservoir is because no matter how much you drain it, stuff is still gonna leak from down here, so grab a pry bar, try to pry the hose off of the line. There we go. Just let that drain. Now grab an 18mm wrench, preferably a flare nut wrench, and let's break the fitting free off of the steering box right there. Get that wrench seated. I used some leverage from a pry bar to just help me. Now you can use a regular open-ended. I'm going to use a stubby wrench just because it fits a lot better in here. Okay, so it's definitely broken free. Before I go too far at this point, I will try to clean up that area up there so that when I remove the fitting, no debris gets inside the power steering gearbox. Flush all that dirt off with some brake parts cleaner, and let's just finish removing the fitting. There it is. Take the new fitting, make sure the O-ring is installed on it, gently slide it in, and try to start the fitting in. There we go, that's started. Now I'm just going to bottom it out and snug it. Keep in mind that when you tighten this, it's the O-ring's job to seal up. It's not a flared fitting, so don't crush it, just snug it. If you over tighten it, you can damage that O-ring and then it will actually not seal and you'll have a leak. That's bottomed out, so I'm going to take my stubby wrench off. I'll grab my bigger wrench and we'll give it a good snug. All right, back to the flare nut wrench. Try to snug it. All right. The amount of leverage I had sounded tighter than it actually is, but it is tight now. It is sealed, so we can put the hose back on. Let's put the hose back on this fitting. There we go. So that's centered. Just have to squeeze that clamp down. There we go. Put the hose clamp on it. That's seated. Release the clamp. Let's get this skid plate back. Snug up all 4 15mm headed bolts. And get this shield in the front back as well. It had the same bolts. Snug these up as well, but be careful, this is plastic, so if you over tighten it, it will crack the plastic. Looks like that has already happened here, so I'm gonna try and be gentle. There we go. Now let's fill up the power steering fluid, remove the cap. This reservoir is located to the right of the alternator. Pull that off. You can see that it has a dipstick. That's how we're going to measure it at the end. I'm going to put a funnel in here just so I don't spill everywhere. I'm going to add about 1/2 quart of power steering fluid. And what I'm going to do now is just quickly double check it with the dipstick. As you can see, it is overfilled. However, we do need to bleed the system, so that's fine. I'm going to just place the cap right here, not tighten it. And what you want to do now is get in the vehicle, turn the steering wheel with the engine off, left to right, all the way lock to lock several times. After several rotations, you'll see that the fluid will go down, top it off as needed, and then of course, do this again. Once it stops going down and air stops coming out, that means you have fully bled the lines. Top it off again, or at least check it if it's already right, and then cap it off completely. You can also do the same thing at the end with the engine running. However, if the pump is whining very loudly, let it sit for a little bit, because most likely that means there's still some air in the system. And if you let it sit, it should naturally bleed out.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.